Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, dreamers and doers, thank you for being here today. I'm honored to stand before you, not as someone above you, but as someone above you, but as someone walking this journey of life right alongside you. Today, we're going to talk about something powerful, something that each and every one of you possesses, whether you realize it or not. We're going to talk about how, in a gentle way, you can shake the world. Now, I want you to take a moment. Close your eyes if you feel comfortable doing so. Picture the world in your mind. What do you see? Do you see the vastness of our oceans? Sprawling cities? The diverse faces of people from every corner of this planet? Open your eyes. That world you just pictured, that's the world you have the power to shake. But here's the kicker: you don't need to be loud to be heard. You don't need to be forceful to make an impact. In fact, some of the most profound changes in history have come from the gentlest of actions. Think about it. A kind word to a stranger, a helping hand to someone in need, a moment of patience when it would be easier to lose your cool. These are gentle actions, aren't they? But make no mistake, they have the power to create ripples that can turn into waves of change. You see, we often think that to make a difference, we need to be someone extraordinary. We need to have wealth, power, or influence. But that's not true. The real power lies in the ordinary moments of our lives. It's in how we treat the cashier at the grocery store, how we respond to a colleague's mistake, how we react when someone cuts us off in traffic. These moments, these seemingly insignificant interactions, they're the building blocks of a better world. Because here's the truth: the world isn't changed by a few people doing big things. It's changed by millions of people doing small things with great love and intention. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Denzel, that sounds nice, but the world's problems are too big. What difference can my small actions make? I hear you. I understand that feeling. But let me tell you a story. There was once a man walking along a beach. The tide had just gone out, and thousands of starfish were stranded on the sand, slowly dying in the hot sun. As he walked, he saw a young boy picking up starfish one by one and throwing them back into the ocean. The man approached the boy and said, "There are thousands of starfish here. You can't possibly make a difference." The boy looked at him, picked up another starfish and tossed it into the sea. "I made a difference to that one," he said. You see, we don't have to save the entire world in one go. We just need to focus on the starfish in front of us. The person right in front of us who needs a kind word, a helping hand, or a moment of understanding. This is what it means to shake the world in a gentle way. It's about understanding that every interaction, every decision, every moment is an opportunity to inject a little more kindness, a little more kindness, a little more compassion, a little more love into the world. And here's the beautiful thing: when you start living this way, it changes you. It changes how you see the world and how you see yourself. You start to realize that you're not powerless in the face of the world's problems. You're actually a solution waiting to happen. But it's not always easy, is it? Being gentle in a world that often seems harsh and unforgiving can be challenging. It takes courage. It takes strength. It takes perseverance. But I promise you, it's worth it. Because when you choose gentleness, when you choose kindness, when you choose love, you're not just changing the world around you. You're changing yourself. You're becoming the person you were always meant to be. Think about the people who have had the biggest impact on your life. Chances are they weren't the loudest or the most aggressive. They were probably the ones who showed you kindness when you needed it most. The ones who believed in you when you didn't believe in yourself. The ones who forgave you when you thought you were unforgivable. These are the true world shakers, and you can be one of them. Now, I want to be clear about something. Being gentle doesn't mean being weak. It doesn't mean being a pushover or letting others take advantage of you. No, being gentle is a sign of true strength. It takes strength to respond to hatred with love. It takes strength to remain calm in the face of chaos. It takes strength to choose understanding over judgment. In fact, I'd argue that gentleness is one of the most powerful forces in the universe. Think about water. Water is gentle, right? It flows around obstacles. It adapts to its environment. But over time, water can carve canyons out of solid rock. That's the power of gentleness. And just like water, your gentle actions can shape the landscape of our world. They can erode the walls of prejudice, carve paths of understanding, and nourish the seeds of change. But here's the thing, this kind of change doesn't happen overnight. It's not about grand gestures or one-time actions. It's about consistency. It's about making gentleness a habit, a way of life. So how do we do that? How do we cultivate this gentle strength in our lives? First, we start with ourselves. We need to be gentle with ourselves before we can be truly gentle with others. This means forgiving ourselves for our mistakes, being patient with our progress, and treating ourselves with the same kindness we'd offer to a dear friend. Too often, we're our own harshest critics. We beat ourselves up over every mistake, every perceived failure. But that kind of self-criticism doesn't help us grow. It holds us back. When we learn to be gentle with ourselves, to speak to ourselves with kindness and understanding, that's when we truly start to flourish. And when we're gentle with ourselves, it becomes so much easier to be gentle with others. We start to see the humanity in everyone we meet. We start to understand that everyone is fighting their own battles, carrying their own burdens. This understanding leads to empathy, and empathy is the foundation of gentleness. When we can put ourselves in someone else's shoes, when we can see the world through their eyes, it becomes almost impossible to treat them with anything but kindness. Now, I'm not saying this is easy. In fact, it can be incredibly challenging, especially when we're dealing with people who push our buttons, who test our patience, who seem to go out of their way to make our lives difficult. But here's the secret, those are the moments that matter most. Those are the moments when our gentle actions can have the biggest impact. Because when we respond to negativity with positivity, to harshness with kindness, we're not just changing that interaction. We're changing the entire dynamic. I think about it. Have you ever been in a bad mood, maybe snapped at someone, and they responded with unexpected kindness? How did that make you feel? Did it soften your anger? Did it make you reconsider your behavior? That's the power of gentleness in action. It has the ability to disarm, to soothe, to heal. It can turn enemies into friends, conflict into cooperation, fear into understanding. And the beautiful thing is, this power is available to all of us at any moment. We don't need special training or qualifications. We don't need to wait for the perfect opportunity. We can start right now, right where we are. Maybe it's smiling at a stranger on the street. Maybe it's listening without judgment when a friend needs to vent. Maybe it's choosing to forgive someone who has hurt you, even if they haven't asked for forgiveness. These actions might seem small, but they're not. They're the seeds of change. And like all seeds, with nurturing and time, they grow into something beautiful and transformative. Now, I want to address something that I know some of you might be thinking. Denzel, you might say, this all sounds great in theory, but the real world isn't like that. The real world is harsh and competitive. If I'm too gentle, won't I get left behind? I hear you, I understand that concern. But let me tell you something, gentleness isn't weakness. It's not about being a doormat or letting others take advantage of you. True gentleness comes from a place of strength and self-assurance. Think about the truly great leaders in history. People like Martin Luther King Jr., Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela. These were not weak people. They faced incredible adversity, violence, and oppression. But they chose to respond with nonviolence, with love, with gentleness, and in doing so, they changed the world. You see, when you're gentle from a place of strength, you become unstoppable. Because you're not operating from a place of fear or anger. You're operating from a place of love and compassion. And love, my friends, is the most powerful force in the universe. Now, I'm not saying it's always easy. There will be times when you'll be tempted to respond to harshness with harshness, to meet force with force. But in those moments, I want you to remember this gentleness is not the absence of strength. It's strength under control. It takes strength to remain calm when others are losing their cool. It takes strength to choose kindness when faced with cruelty. It takes strength to forgive when every fiber of your being wants to hold on to resentment. But here's the thing, every time you make that choice, every time you choose gentleness over harshness, you're not just changing the situation, you're changing yourself. You're becoming stronger, more resilient, more in control of your own reactions and emotions. And as you develop this strength, this gentle power, you'll find that it affects every area of your life. Your relationships will become deeper and more meaningful. Your work will become more impactful. Your sense of purpose and fulfillment will grow. Because when you're living from a place of gentle strength, you're not just reacting to the world around you, you're actively shaping it. You're becoming a force for good, a beacon of hope in a world that desperately needs it. Now, I want to be clear about something. This journey, this path of gentle strength, it's not always going to be smooth. There will be setbacks. There will be times when you fall short, when you react in ways you later regret. And that's okay. That's part of being human. The key is not to let those moments define you. Instead, use them as opportunities for growth. When you catch yourself reacting with harshness, take a step back. Breathe. Ask yourself, how could I have handled that situation with more gentleness? What can I learn from this? And then, most importantly, be gentle with yourself in those moments. Forgive yourself for your missteps. Use them as stepping stones rather than stumbling blocks. Because here's the truth, this journey of gentle strength, it's not about perfection, it's about progress. It's about waking up each day and recommitting to this path, to this way of being in the world. And as you do, you'll start to notice something amazing. You'll start to see the impact of your gentle actions rippling out into the world around you. You'll see how your kindness inspires kindness in others, how your patience encourages patience, how your love nurtures love. You'll start to realize that you're not just changing yourself, you're changing your family, your community, your workplace. And through that, you're changing the world. Because here's the beautiful truth, we're all connected. Every action we take, every word we speak, it affects the whole. When you choose gentleness, when you choose love, you're not just making a personal choice. You're contributing to the collective consciousness of humanity. Think about it like this. Imagine you're standing in a pool of water. When you move, you create ripples, right? Now, imagine everyone in the world is standing in that same pool. Every gentle action you take creates ripples that touch everyone else. And their gentle actions create ripples that touch you. This is how we change the world. Not through grand gestures or sweeping reforms, but through millions of gentle actions, millions of kind words, millions of moments of understanding and compassion. And here's the amazing thing, you don't have to wait for anyone else to start. You don't need permission. You don't need resources. You just need to make the choice, right here, right now, to be a force for gentleness in the world. Start with the person next to you. Start with the next interaction you have. Choose kindness, choose patience, choose understanding, and watch how it changes not just that interaction, but how it changes you. Because when you commit to this path of gentle strength, you're not just changing the world. You're fulfilling your own potential. You're becoming the best version of yourself. You're living your purpose. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, that sounds great, Denzel, but I'm just one person. How much of a difference can I really make? Let me tell you something. Never underestimate the power of one person committed to making a difference. History is full of examples of individuals who changed the world through their gentle, persistent actions. Think about Rosa Parks. She didn't lead an army or start a revolution. She simply refused to give up her seat on a bus. But that one gentle act of defiance sparked a movement that changed a nation. Or consider Anne Frank. She was just a young girl writing in her diary. But her words, her gentle reflections on hope and human nature in the face of unimaginable horror, have touched millions of lives and continue to do so decades later. These people didn't set out to change the world. They simply chose to act with courage, with integrity, with gentleness in their everyday lives. And in doing so, they created ripples that turned into waves of change. You have that same power. Every day, in countless small ways, you have the opportunity to make a difference, to be a force for good, to shake the world with your gentleness. Maybe it's standing up for someone who's being bullied. Maybe it's volunteering at a local shelter. Maybe it's simply choosing to listen with an open heart when someone shares a different perspective. These actions might seem small in a moment, but they're not. They're the building blocks of a better world. They're the seeds of change that, with time and nurturing, grow into mighty oaks of transformation. And here's the thing, when you start living this way, when you commit to being a gentle force for good in the world, it changes you. It gives your life a sense of purpose and meaning that nothing else can match. Because deep down, we all want to make a difference. We all want to know that our lives matter, that we're contributing something positive to the world. And when you embrace this path of gentle strength, you're doing exactly that. You're not just existing. You're not just going through the motions. You're actively shaping the world around you. You're being the change you wish to see in the world, as Gandhi so famously said. And let me tell you, there's no feeling quite like it. When you see the impact of your gentle actions, when you witness how your kindness can transform a situation or lift someone's spirits, it's incredibly fulfilling. It gives you a sense of purpose and joy that no amount of money or fame can provide. But here's the key: you have to be consistent. You have to make gentleness a habit, a way of life. It's not about grand gestures or one-time acts of kindness. It's about consistently choosing gentleness day in and day out, even when it's difficult, especially when it's difficult. Because it's in those challenging moments, those times when it would be easier to react with anger or indifference, that our gentle actions have the greatest impact. That's when we truly have the opportunity to shake the world. Now, I want to address something important. When we talk about gentleness, about kindness and compassion, some people might think it means being passive or avoiding conflict. But that's not what this is about at all. Being gentle doesn't mean being weak. It doesn't mean avoiding difficult conversations or letting injustice slide. In fact, it often requires great courage and strength to be gentle in the face of adversity. Think about it. It takes strength to respond to hatred with love. It takes courage to stand up for what's right in a gentle, compassionate way. It takes resilience to keep choosing kindness even when the world seems cruel. This is what I mean by gentle strength. It's about being firm in your convictions, unwavering in your values, but approaching the world and others with compassion and understanding. It's about having difficult conversations, but doing so with respect and empathy. It's about fighting for justice, but doing so in a way that doesn't perpetuate cycles of violence and hatred. This kind of gentle strength is what truly has the power to transform our world. Because when we approach even our greatest challenges with compassion and understanding, we open up new possibilities for resolution and healing. Think about some of the great peacemakers in history. People like Nelson Mandela, who emerged from 27 years of imprisonment, not with bitterness and a desire for revenge, but with a message of reconciliation and unity. Or consider the Dalai Lama, who has spent decades advocating for the rights of his people, not through violence or force, but through peaceful dialogue and by embodying the very compassion he preaches. These leaders understood that true strength lies not in the ability to dominate or overpower others, but in the capacity to respond to even the greatest injustices with wisdom, courage, and yes, gentleness. And here's the thing: this approach isn't just more ethical, it's more effective. Because when you respond to conflict with gentleness and understanding, you disarm your opponents. You open up space for dialogue and mutual understanding. You create opportunities for true, lasting change. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Denzel, that sounds great in theory, but the real world isn't like that. There are people out there who will take advantage of kindness, who will see gentleness as weakness. I hear you. And you're right, there are people like that in the world, but here's the thing: their existence doesn't negate the power of gentleness. In fact, it makes it even more important. Because when we choose gentleness, when we choose to respond to negativity with positivity, to cruelty with kindness, we're not just changing that immediate interaction, we're changing the entire dynamic. We're breaking cycles of negativity and violence that have perpetuated for generations. And yes, there may be times when we need to set firm boundaries. There may be situations where we need to stand our ground. But even in those moments, we can do so with compassion and understanding. We can be gentle even as we're being strong. This is the paradox of gentle strength. It's not about being a pushover or avoiding conflict. It's about approaching every situation, every interaction, every challenge with a spirit of compassion and a commitment to creating positive change. And when you live this way, when you embody this gentle strength in your daily life, you become a powerful force for good in the world. You become a beacon of hope, a source of inspiration for others. Because here's the truth, the world is hungry for this kind of gentle strength. In a world that often seems divided and filled with conflict, people are yearning for kindness, for understanding, for a different way of being. And you have the power to be that difference. You have the power to be that change. Every single day, in countless small ways, you have the opportunity to shake the world with your gentleness. Maybe it's choosing to respond with patience when someone cuts you off in traffic. Maybe it's taking the time to really listen to someone with a different viewpoint, seeking to understand rather than to argue. Maybe it's standing up for someone who's being treated unfairly, but doing so in a way that invites dialogue rather than escalating conflict. These actions might seem small in the moment, but they're not. They're powerful. They're transformative. They're the seeds of a better world. And here's the beautiful thing: as you practice this gentle strength, as you make it a habit in your daily life, you'll find that it becomes easier. It becomes natural. It becomes who you are, not just what you do. You'll start to see opportunities for gentleness and kindness everywhere you look. You'll start to approach every interaction, every challenge, every setback as an opportunity to inject a little more love, a little more understanding, a little more compassion into the world. And as you do, you'll start to see changes, not just in the world around you, but in yourself. You'll find yourself becoming more patient, more understanding, more at peace. You'll find your relationships deepening, your sense of purpose growing, your impact on the world expanding. Because when you commit to this path of gentle strength, you're not just changing the world, you're fulfilling your own potential. You're becoming the person you were always meant to be. Now, I want to be clear about something. This journey, this path of gentle strength, it's not always going to be easy. There will be times when you'll be tempted to respond to harshness with harshness, to meet force with force. There will be times when your patience will be tested, when your compassion will be challenged. And that's okay. That's part of the journey. The key is not to let those moments define you, but to use them as opportunities for growth. To recommit to your path of gentleness, to learn from your missteps, to keep moving forward. Because here's the truth: every time you choose gentleness over harshness, every time you respond to negativity with positivity, you're not just changing that immediate situation, you're changing yourself. You're strengthening your capacity for compassion, your ability to remain calm in the face of adversity, your power to be a force for good in the world. And as you develop this gentle strength, you'll find that it affects every area of your life. Your relationships will become deeper and more meaningful. Your work will become more impactful. Your sense of purpose and fulfillment will grow. Because when you're living from a place of gentle strength, you're not just reacting to the world around you, you're actively shaping it. You're becoming a catalyst for positive change, a beacon of hope in a world that desperately needs it. And here's the amazing thing: as you embody this gentle strength, as you consistently choose kindness and compassion in your daily life, you'll start to inspire others to do the same. Your actions will create a ripple effect, touching lives in ways you may never even realize. I think about it. Have you ever been having a bad day and then someone showed you an unexpected kindness? Maybe a stranger held the door for you, or a coworker brought you a cup of coffee, or a friend called just to check in. How did that make you feel? Did it lift your spirits? Did it inspire you to pay that kindness forward? That's the power of gentle strength in action. It has the ability to transform not just individual interactions, but entire communities. It has the power to break down barriers, to build bridges of understanding, to create a more compassionate and just world. And the beautiful thing is, this power is available to all of us at any moment. We don't need special qualifications or resources. We don't need to wait for the perfect opportunity. We can start right now, right where we are. Maybe it's offering a kind word to someone who's struggling. Maybe it's choosing to listen with an open heart when someone shares a different perspective. Maybe it's forgiving someone who has hurt you, even if they haven't asked for forgiveness. These actions might seem small in the moment, but they're not. They're powerful. They're the building blocks of a better world. They're how we shake the world in a gentle way. Now, as we near the end of our time together, I want to leave you with a challenge. I want you to commit to being a force for gentleness in the world. I want you to wake up each day with the intention of shaking the world with your kindness, your compassion, your gentle strength. Start small. Choose one interaction each day where you'll consciously choose gentleness. Maybe it's with a family member, a coworker, or a stranger on the street. Approach that interaction with intention, with compassion, with a desire to make a positive difference. And then, as that becomes habit, expand your circle of gentleness. Look for more opportunities to inject kindness into the world. Seek out chances to be a force for good, to stand up for what's right in a way that invites dialogue rather than creates division. Remember, you have the power to shape the world around you. Every interaction, every decision, every moment is an opportunity to make a difference, to be the change you wish to see in the world. And as you walk this path of gentle strength, know that you're not alone. There are millions of others out there, just like you, who are committed to making the world a little bit better, a little bit kinder, a little bit more compassionate. Together, we can create a ripple effect of kindness that spreads across our communities, our nations, our world. We can build a future where gentleness is seen not as weakness, but as the ultimate strength, where compassion is not the exception, but the norm. This is how we shake the world in a gentle way. Not through grand gestures or sweeping reforms, but through millions of small acts of kindness, through consistently choosing love over hate, understanding over judgment, compassion over indifference. So I ask you, are you ready? Are you ready to be a force for gentleness in the world? Are you ready to shake the world with your kindness, your compassion, your gentle strength? Because the world needs you. It needs your unique gifts, your unique perspective, your unique capacity for love and understanding. It needs your gentle strength. And as you step into this role, as you commit to this path, know that you're not just changing the world, you're fulfilling your own potential. You're becoming the person you were always meant to be. You're living your purpose. So go out there, be gentle. Be kind, be strong, and shake the world with your gentleness. Because in a gentle way, you can shake the world. And together we will create a better, more compassionate, more just world for all. Thank you.